Like Ms. Griffin was saying, your incoming freshman class, I think, is 241 students, which speaks a lot to the growth that we've experienced in Aubrey since I've been here. This is my 5th year as the high school principal, and I want to say when I came in, our average class size was about 130, 100 a bit, and that's very exciting to see. You know, and you can see it with our upper grade levels. Our junior and senior class aren't nearly as big as our current freshman and sophomore classes, and you know, but we.
Mr. Gore, we're losing you.
More teachers. That
It was on mute.
Can I listen to it?
All right, folks, as you join us, would you please make sure you are putting your microphone on mute? And I'm pretty sure I know what our principal is saying there. He's just amazed with how big their classes are growing. It goes to show how big our community is growing. And with that growth, we have to hire new teachers. We have building new wonderful facilities. So it is so exciting to be able to grow, hire new staff, build these beautiful buildings that we have, the big fine arts center that we have growing, that we have built, that's going to house our band and our auditorium.
Okay, Ms. Griffin, can you hear me now?
Yes, we sure can, sir.
I'm sorry about that. I saw the message come across that I was cutting out. So, you know, really, I won't take too long. Just wanted to welcome all the parents and students into this meeting. And again, we're excited about you guys coming up to the high school and have a lot of new things to offer you. And especially, you know, I heard Ms. Griffin mentioning the new facilities that we're adding on the auditorium, the band hall, you know, just a lot of really cool things, neat things happening on the high school campus. So we're excited to welcome you guys into the Aubrey High School family, and can't wait to get to meet you face to face. So with that, I'm going to allow Ms. Griffin to take it away. Certainly appreciate Ms. Foster, Ms. Holloway, and Ms. Jackson for helping out as well. And I'm going to let her take it away. So thank you guys. And if you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to call me or shoot me an email, and I'll do my best to get back to you in a timely manner. So have a great night.
All right. Thank you, sir. You drive safely. All right, you guys, we're going to get a couple more people that are in our waiting room. There we go. Okay, so what we want to do tonight is just kind of familiarize you with what we did with your students this last week. We went into their classes and we reviewed the course request form. We reviewed our endorsement pathways that we have, and we reviewed what we would call a credit monitoring form, and we showed them a high school course list. What I'd like to do with you guys right now is also record this message, or record this Zoom. So hopefully you guys are all right with that. I want to go ahead and get us started with our presentation right here. So this presentation, let's see here. All right, it says, welcome high school, welcome class of 2026. Because you guys are our newest class coming up. You will graduate in 2026. That's pretty exciting. And here's just some of the good information to see. Our superintendent, Dr. David Belding, our principal, our assistant principals are Mrs. Foster and Mrs. Lisa Deaver. We have Chief Collins with us, who takes good care of us. Our registrar is Nancy Knapp. Our 504 coordinator, our test coordinator is Mrs. Donna Lincoln. And then I'm Mrs. Griffin, and then Mrs. Holloway is my lovely co-worker up here. What I'd like to do here, and is minimize this screen so I can read this good thing, is just to kind of get you guys started with what high school is, kind of tell you what a credit is, and we can go from there. To start off, to graduate, you guys will need 26 credits, okay? If anybody's in algebra now in 8th grade, or Spanish 1, or you've taken principles of ag, then you have already started accruing credits for high school. So that's really, really exciting. So you can literally take that 26 and mark them off as you go. But each semester when you take a course, you earn a half credit for that course. And then so like English 1, for example, the first semester would be a half credit. The second semester would be the second half credit. And what you need to do is have an average of a 70 in order to get that full credit for the year. What that really means is if you took a class and you made, let's say you didn't have a great semester, you made a 65 and then you made a 75, yay, the second semester, that would average out to a 70 and you would actually get credit for the whole year. So you would have earned that 1 credit for English 1. All right. Then it could happen the other way where maybe things don't work quite as well. You make a 65 that first semester, second semester, you make a 70, that averages out to a 68. So you get the second semester that you made the 70 in, but you would have to retake that first semester. We'll talk a little more about that, guys. I just wanted to kind of put that in your head. I'm going to go over some of the basic information and then we'll get really deep into the course request forms to really help you guys answer any questions you have about how to pick your classes for the next 4 years, because we kind of are asking that of your student right now to help us pick out or to help you pick out for your student what classes they would like for the next 4 years. So first thing we talk about is our attendance. Regular attendance is extremely important for anyone to learn. You can't learn if you're not here. So absences can result in a serious disruption of a student's mastery of a subject. We need to make sure that we make every effort to make sure our students are at school every day, unless of course they're sick or there's a valid reason for not being here. The state says that you have to be here. That's our compulsory attendance, and that's how you get attendance for credit. How that just basically works, and I don't want to read too much of this because I know you can read it as well, but your student is allowed to miss a certain amount of school days that we as the school district can excuse with your excuse letters, with a parent letter or a doctor's note. Once a student has missed more than that, then they become in jeopardy of not receiving credit through the state. And the state tells us, no matter how much we love your student, the state tells us, hey, they were not here 90% of school, or and therefore we have to possibly revoke credit or not allow them to receive credit. And that's really, really hard to do. And we have an attendance committee, and they don't enjoy not allowing students to get credit. So right there where it says attendance for credit, student must be at school for at least 90% of the days the class is offered. This is both excused and unexcused absences. So if all your students' absences are all excused, but there's still quite a number of them, then that means that that student may not receive that 75% of days that they need to be here, and therefore may not be able to gain credit. A lot of times people think, well, all my students' absences were excused, so he can certainly get all or she can get all her credit. Not necessarily. We can't go over a certain threshold. Okay, the next thing we'll talk about, oh, these are fun. This is our graduation requirements. Okay, and these talk about the endorsements that you have heard us kind of mention for your students. Now, about roughly 8-9 years ago, the state of Texas says that when a student starts high school, they need to pick a major or an endorsement, just like a student who goes to college. You know, when you go to college and say you're going to major in education, and there you take all those education classes. Now in high school, we offer a very similar type of situation. Your students need to pick at least one of the 5 endorsements, and we will help them with that. So when we were filling out their pink forms, we literally talked about what do you want to be when you grow up? And then I asked them on their form to either write that down if they didn't know what endorsement that was, or to write down the official endorsement. So to kind of give you an idea, one of the endorsements, you have arts and humanities, and that would be like for writers, film, actors, people that are screenwriters, people that have to do with jobs that have to do with entertainment and arts and writing. That's the big one. Business and industry would be one for anything that's dealing with commodities, selling things, money related items, management, buying and selling things. Multidisciplinary would be for just all of us. All of us, no matter what, will get the chance to be on the multidisciplinary track. That means we're not exactly sure what you want to be, so you can kind of take classes across the board, and you can still, of course, graduate with a multidisciplinary plan. It's kind of like a general studies. Okay, then we have public service, which would be anything where you're serving others, nursing, teaching, criminal justice, police, firefighter, those type of things are considered public service. And then you have STEM. That's our science, technology, engineering, and math. And those can be very scientific related jobs, nuclear physicist. Those would be the kids, engineering, of course, those would be the kids that might take 5 sciences or 5 math classes. Okay. We like to ask your student to try to pick one once they start their freshman year. And then if it needs to change, we can change it again at the end of their sophomore year. But we try not to get real hung up in that. But this is something the state wants us to work with your student about. All right. Now we're getting into the stuff that's really, really, really interesting and stuff that I think that you guys really want to know. To graduate, remember how we said you need 26 credits? Well, here it is. This is spelled out for you. And one of the forms that your student had was called a credit monitor form. It was one of the white papers that they brought home. It lists all of these down in kind of a block section so you can see. But every year your student is in high school, they will take an English class. They will also take a math class, a science class, and a social studies class. That's called our 4x4. And that would be 16 credits of the 26 credits they need to graduate. Okay. So out of that 26, 16 of them are already for sure taken with just the core classes. So that leaves you with just 10 more credits that we have to figure out. Okay. Of that remaining 10, 2 of those are what we would call our foreign language classes. So Aubrey High School only offers Spanish 1 and Spanish 2. So we ask that students try to get those credits their first 2 years of high school. That way they're done and they can continue with other programs later on and not have that requirement to take. Every student must have a semester of health and a semester of professional communications. Okay, that's like, we call them health and speech. So half of the freshmen would take health at one time, the other one would take speech, and then we flop for the second semester. The other half takes speech and the other half takes health. Every student must have either 1 full year of athletics or 1 full year of PE. Most students choose to get their PE done that freshman year if that's what they're going to do, so they can say it's done, I have fulfilled my PE requirement. If a student's going to be in athletics, they tend to want to do that all 4 years, which they can. So you want to make sure that that's listed on all 4 years on that pink card that your student brought home. Okay. Every student will need 1 full year of a fine art, and we have some awesome fine arts here at our school. We have art, theater arts, musical theater, tech theater. We have choir. We now have choir and floral design and band. And our band is growing. It's amazing. It's a great band. If you've gone to our football games and you've seen it, you know it. It's dynamite. All right. And then the remaining classes are our what we would call electives, or this is where your student would pick something from that stapled packet that they also received, and that would be called their endorsement classes. Okay, so there's that. All right, now this one I might wait a little bit to tell you about, but I'll give you an idea. Dual credit, you'll hear about this. This is a wonderful program that students can start taking college credits as early as their sophomore year. Okay, they don't have to pay that really large cost that colleges would normally charge for a class. It's usually about $300 to take a full-fledged college class instead of closer to $1,500. And they can start those their sophomore year here. They will need to take the TSI test, and they must pass their English language arts section. And I believe there's a math section. So in English, a reading and a writing and a math section. And Miss Holloway is in charge of this program for us. And she keeps us all very up to date. It's a great program. The other one that we have is our ATC program. And you may have heard about this. They start their junior year. Okay, and their junior year with this ATC program, they get to go off campus. They leave us. They go and they study at that big campus that's over there next to Denton Waterworks down past the middle school, down on 288. They have 30 programs, everything from forensic science to aviation, animation, graphic design, pharmacy, nursing, Cisco Network. They have tons of programs. So we try very hard to collaborate with them and offer those programs. Ms. Holloway, did you have anything you'd want to say about dual credit for us?
I think you really covered it great. Just the main thing is that students don't start taking dual credit through Aubrey High School until their sophomore year. So it's the next spring of the 9th grade year is when they really need to start getting ready with taking the TSI and then making sure they have a 2.0 GPA. They have to have a 2.0 GPA as well. So I'll be glad to answer any questions. They can email me anytime.
Very good. Thank you so much. So yes, that 2.0 GPA is just a good C average, folks. So it used to be a little higher. We really want to encourage your students to get that chance to take college classes in high school and get that at a cheaper rate and get it done so they can be further when they graduate. All right, now let's see, we can tell you, what does this mean for me? Well, like we were saying, your student will need to take English 1. They'll need to take Algebra 1 or Geometry. If they've already taken Algebra in 8th grade, then they would go to Geometry. Then their first Science would be Biology. Their first History would be World History. They would take Athletics or PE or Band. Now that's something to tell you. Students that are in band, this is so great. The kids just get so happy to hear this. They get their athletics credit at the same time while they're getting their fine arts credit. So you have to be in band for 2 years at least, and you get your full athletics credit or PE credit and your fine arts credit. I'm just kind of in my mind, I'm hearing some kids go, oh my gosh, that's great. Okay, then you take your health and your speech class. And then we want you to start your foreign language. If you haven't taken one, or if you need 2, you go ahead and get started there. And then if you are going to take a special endorsement, if you have looked at that stapled packet that has the pathways on it, then I'm trying to hold that up to you. If you've done that, then you might actually start your endorsement pathway. Instead of taking your fine art your freshman year, you might take your endorsement pathway class first there. So we can go into that in just a little bit. All right, so an endorsement, again, we spoke about that. That's under those topics of arts and humanities, business and industry, public service, multidisciplinary, and STEM. Okay, so you'll just hear a lot about that. All right, so just a quick summary again, arts and humanities would be like political science, art, dance, music, theater, cultural language studies, history, fine arts, yearbook, journalism, psychology, and sociology. Business and industry, again, are courses that are related to database management, technology, accounting, finance, graphics design can go in there. A lot of our ag classes are in business and industry. Okay, multidisciplinary is when you take a combination of electives, because we're not going to let anybody graduate without an endorsement. So if there's not any set pathway, multidisciplinary will be the one you need. Public service, that again is for law enforcement, health science, education and training, government and political administration, that would be there. And then for STEM, this is the one that requires that extra level of either math or science. So these are kids that graduate with higher than Algebra 2, or they've taken 5 math classes, or they've taken 5 science classes. And this tends to be with engineering, with medicine, medical careers, and advanced science careers. Okay, so we're going to skip through that one. Some people have asked, what's the difference between athletics and PE? Athletics requires you to be on a team. So you have to be at school either before school or after school, and you are on a sport and you play games and you're required to practice, and it is a commitment. That is athletics. PE is that good old-fashioned requirement that you have to take, where you get your exercise every day. You do it for a year. It requires no after-school practice, no before-school practice. You just get your credit in your class. Okay, now sophomore year. This is a good snapshot of our sophomore year. Basically, you take the second of all those core classes. So you'd have your second English, your second math, your second science, your second history. You could take your next Spanish if you need it. This is where you would take 2. If you have not taken your PE or your athletics, or you want to continue athletics, you can take that here. And then you could take another one of those endorsement electives, something that's second on your pathway list that we'll talk about again. And then you'd have your elective. So again, an endorsement elective, it's something that's specific to your pathway, that's specific to what you want to be when you grow up, okay, or out of high school. And then an elective might just be a class that you've been really interested in. You know, I've always thought making a yearbook was so great. So yearbook's going to be my elective. I might be on the health science pathway, and I might have taken principles of health science and medical terminology, but I also want to take yearbook. So that is another interesting class. Okay, junior year, guess what? It's the third of everything. So your third English, your third math, your third science, and your third history. All right. Now, something that the students love to hear, and we love to tell them this because it's exciting. If you have been passing your STAR test, or we call them end of course exams, as you've been coming through high school, then you will get the opportunity. Oh, and you haven't failed any classes, you're up with all of your classes and you're passing, then you have that opportunity to perhaps be able to leave right after 7th period. You might only need to stay at school for 7 periods, not the whole 8. So that's pretty cool, but you've got to be passing your classes and be passing your STAR tests. You know what? I'm going to take this opportunity to make sure you guys are all aware of what our 5 STAR tests are. To graduate from high school, not only do you need to get those 26 credits, but you must pass 5 STAR tests. That would be your English 1 test, your Algebra 1 test, your biology test, and all 3 of those happen your freshman year in high school. We kind of hit you with 3 all at once. Okay, sophomore year, you get your English 2 test, and your junior year, you get your US history test, and that's your last one. All right, senior year. I love the picture of this young lady because she has done it. All right, 4th year of English, your 4th math, or your 5th, depending on if you're going for STEM or not, your 4th science, possibly 5th. You're going to take your 4th history, which is government and economics. And then if you're not looking to leave early, I mean, again, you could leave after 6th period for your senior year, after 6th period. You could still take 2 more electives. All right. So again, seniors have 2 off periods if they're on track for graduation and have passed all of their end of course tests. Okay. And we can't have you lingering on campus, so you must leave campus. We'll have to kick you off campus if you're not with classes. All right. This is our goal, guys. Our goal is to prepare your students to be successful in their chosen pathway and prepared both academically and emotionally for life after high school. And oh, the places they'll go. Yes. All right. So I am going to try to come back to you for a second. So I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. Folks, you heard that's kind of the most intense part of the program, I would say. I want to tell you something that's very important, and this might be my only chance to get to tell you and your students. Ooh, I see a soccer question. That's a good one. That might be in a couple of years. Okay. But your student, when they're here at high school, yes, academics is extremely important. And that's what we're here to teach them, are these subjects and to get them educated and all of that. But the other side, that colleges, trade schools, universities, the military, that career, any career and employment jobs are looking for is someone who is well-rounded. We want your student to take a chance or take some time and get involved. Clubs, band, the debate team, academic decathlon, the art club, Spanish club, theater, ATC, which we talked about, where you go to that vocational program. Maybe your student can get really involved in a vocational program, something that makes them more than just a student at school. Okay, because for some students, academics comes really easy for them, and that's great. But colleges want a full, well-rounded person. So please do consider, make sure that you let your students know that you want them to have a life other than just school. Okay. All right. Now, folks, I want to bring up, oh, we've got some more people in our waiting room. All right. We're going to give them all a chance to join us. All right, very good. I was just checking out the chat box. We've got lots going on in there. Okay, so folks, what I want to do right now is go over some of those sheets that you guys may have gotten or that your student would have brought home to you that talks about our courses and what they need to pick for their freshman year. Okay. And actually, this one that's on the screen right now, this is the pink form that they would have. All right. So obviously, most important, make sure they fill out on the top, tell us their name, how we can contact you if we need to ask questions. We need a good email address. Please make sure we have a good email address that's legible that we can read. Okay. And up here, okay, very good. Up here, you see where it says endorsement. That's where I would love it if you could kind of tell me business and industry, STEM, public service, arts and humanities, multidisciplinary. But if you're not sure what your endorsement is, if you could just put, hey, I want to be a teacher, or just put, lawyer, surgeon, veterinarian, whatever it is, cosmetologist, hairstylist, whatever it is, plumber, heating and air conditioning specialist, something like that. If you want to go ahead and just write that down for me, whatever it is that your desire is to be when you grow up, I will help you, myself and Miss Holloway and even Miss Jackson, all work on these forms together to make sure we can make sure you're in your correct endorsement pathway. All right. All right, folks. Now let's come down here. What we would like for you to be able to do is tell us, hey, I need English 1, I need Algebra 1, Biology, and World History. If you look at this form, you can actually, I kind of want to rewind just a bit. When you look at the form, the front side is your 9th and 10th grade year, and then your years, and you flip it over, the back has your 11th and 12th grade year, okay? We would like for your students to give us the best idea of what their thoughts are at this time for their next 4 years. Clearly, they need that 4x4 that we talked about, their English, history, science, and math. Everybody's going to need those, and that's going to be the first 4 classes of each of those years. Can't get around those, okay? Then underneath, you'll see where it talks about you sign up for your PE or your athletics, or if you were going to be in band, okay? Or cheer or color guard. Cheer or color guard. And what we're asking is if you're going to be in athletics or if you're going to be in cheer or color guard, we need a signature. So we ask that you get us that signature. On top in those rectangles where it's English, math, science, and social studies, if you're going to be taking an advanced class, we asked your student to please go to their current teacher for that subject and get a signature there. That's how we know that their teacher supports them and says that they are going to be capable and successful in that class. Please know that if they're going to do an advanced English class, there will be a summer reading and they will have an assignment, okay? So I don't want them to not know that. Okay, then you see their health and speech class. You'll see right there. So I want everyone to circle health and speech. Okay. Now this fine art, this one is an interesting one because you definitely need this to graduate. But if you know that you're going to be in a certain endorsement and you need to get started on a pathway that has 4 classes, then you could go ahead and put your endorsement class right there. Okay, so say you're going to be on the graphics design plan. You want to study graphics design. All right. Then in that stapled packet that I'll show you again as well, that stapled packet, it says on page, looks like it's on page 2. So the back side of the first side, it talks about graphics design and it says the first class to take is Principles of Arts. Okay. So I would like you guys to write whatever that first class is for your student right there if they're going to be following an endorsement pathway. So where it says fine art, and I'm sorry it doesn't have a line, but where it says fine art, this is where they could put Principles of Art, Audio, Video Technology. Okay. And then underneath that, that's where I'd like for them to put Spanish 1 or Spanish 2 if they need that, so we can get that going. Now, I'd like to talk to you about the second year and kind of help you understand how the rest of this works. So again, you pick your top 4, your English, math, science, and social studies. you would continue with your foreign language. If they have not taken health and speech, they could take that there, but most of them will have taken that. So right there on that line, that's where your student's going to put the second class of their endorsement. So if they were doing that graphics design pathway, this would be where it actually says graphics design and illustration, and they would write that right there. Then they get to pick their fine art, and then they can pick 2 more electives. All right. We really only need them to have 1 endorsement elective each year. That's kind of the going plan here. All right, then we're going to go down, folks, to junior and senior year. Let me go let some more people in real fast. Okay, junior and senior year. This is where a lot of students might be going to ATC, or this is where students might be doing their dual credit, and they could also be doing dual credit their sophomore year. So you'll see that option coming up over here. Wherever dual credit is offered, it'll say dual credit, so that your student will have that chance. So junior year, your student would have a chance to take an English class or take a social studies class. Now, that 10th grade year, your student over here could actually start taking maybe a psychology or a sociology, but they will learn what options are open for them at the meeting that'll be about this time next year for them, if they choose to start their 10th grade year. All right, so 11th grade, you pick one of the top 4 categories again, and then you could pick an endorsement, and then the rest to give you the total of 7 classes, because if your student's on track, they only have to have 7 classes. They could pick the 7 classes, or they're welcome to stay for 8. If a student is going to be doing that ATC program where they leave our campus to go to the trade school, they only would be able to stay on our campus for 5 classes, okay? For 5 classes. So just want to make sure they would take all of their core classes and maybe band, or all of their core classes and athletics, or all of their core classes and choir, whatever it is, but they would only be able to take 5 classes. All right, now let's go over. Can you believe it? Now your kid's a senior. We have more options, which is really cool. Again, you'll see as your student gets older, they get the chance to have more preferences in what classes they want to take. So over here, you see they're going to pick their 4th English. They're going to pick their 4th math. And honestly, that should say algebra 2, not algebra 1. All right, or they could choose pre-calculus, or they could pick a dual credit math. All right, or an AP calculus. And then we have statistics and math models if a student chooses to do those classes. And then science, we have environmental systems, earth and space, AP environmental systems, AP biology, AP chemistry, anatomy and physiology, medical microbiology, pathophysiology, and AP physics. Some excellent choices there, guys. And social studies, everybody would pick government and economics, or you can choose to do it through dual credit. All right, and then they can pick their 4th of their endorsement elective, and then they can pick the remaining electives if they want to stay here for 8 periods or for 7, or for 6 actually, because senior year, you can stay just for 6 periods if you've been passing all your classes. All right, I am going to jump to another screen, but I just wanted to make sure, are you guys hanging in there? I'm going to give this answer because this is a question that I think is important as well. All your questions are important, but this one popped up that I can see. If their previous school did award a student high school credit, let's go there. If a previous school awarded high school credit for Spanish 1, then they can go into Spanish 2. Oh, this is the comment.
You're reading my answer.
I am.
I answered the question and you're reading my response.
Okay, well, that's a great answer. Definitely. If your student did take Spanish 1 at another school, then we want to, and they were awarded high school credit, we definitely want to make sure they get that, you guys, okay? So we would want to maybe ask that high school or that middle school, that counselor, to make sure that it gets put on their transcript. And a lot of times that does happen very well, but we want to make sure. So that's where you're going to be a great advocate for your student. If you know they should get credit for Spanish 1 or for an ag class or for algebra 1, and you're not sure if it's come over, please feel free to reach out. Yeah, There you go. Please feel free to reach out to us to ask or to call that previous school and make sure that credit was put on their transcript. All right. More people coming in. Let's go get those folks. All right. Let me go back and show some more documents to you. How about we look at this one next? Folks, this is this is our high school course list. So all the classes that your student can pick from are on this course list. This was another. Okay, this list right here has all the classes that are offered here at the high school. And as we said at the very beginning of our presentation, we are now offering a graphics design class for our students. But again, that is on a pathway. So we ask that your students take the principles of art and audio video technology their freshman year before they can get that graphics design class. We also are offering a sports medicine class. That's going to be a brand new class for us next year. And that'll probably be for the little bit of the older students as well. But if someone's not sure that they want to commit all the way to the health science endorsement, maybe they just want to take a sports medicine class, they can do that. Another section that I want to point out to you guys is this section right here. It says Denton ATC program. This right here is a list of all the classes, all the programs that your student could choose from to take over at that Denton building. It's called the LaGrone Academy. We've always called it ATC, but the proper name now is LaGrone Academy. And your student could study animation, architecture, audio video production, which is making films, very exciting. The automotive technology, folks, I got to tell you, it's a great program, but their timing for that program has been off for our students. So our students really have not been getting into that one. But they do offer a new aviation class, literally learning how to bring planes in. It's a ground crew. And now they have an aviation piloting program that they're starting. So there's quite a few offers. Then we've got court systems. Culinary arts is kind of like automotive. The timing for that one has been off. But we never know what's going to happen in 3 years when your student will be ready to do this. And they do have an education and training, like to be a teacher. They have an EMT program. They have a firefighting program. They have a health science program. I will tell you that we have a health science program on our campus now that is really growing and doing a great job. So your student may not have to go to ATC for that health science program. Hospitality and tourism. Kids are starting to really get into this. This is like working at an amusement park. Or working at a hotel, restaurant management type stuff, working at Six Flags, working at Disneyland, all of that kind of comes into that. Then you see law, public safety, then you've got internet networking, and then welding. And we also have a fabulous, very well-known welding program here at our high school. So wanted to make sure you know that. So that gives your student a chance to choose, do they want to stay on campus or be able to go off and take these at another campus. Sometimes it is kind of cool to just leave and, get to experience other atmospheres, but we do offer these programs, several of these at our campus. All right, let me go see what else we have to show you. All right, this right here, you guys, this is the infamous endorsement pathways. When I kept saying to find the endorsements, this is it, you guys. Your student should have brought home a pack of stapled sheets that says Aubrey High School recommended endorsement and CTE pathways. These are ways to get your student really excited about school. If your student knows that they are working for maybe a special certification, then they might be more interested in really trying to get through that program. So for instance, if someone is doing, well, let's look at the agriculture program, or let's look at the agriculture, food, and natural resource, that plant science. Your student would take principles of ag, which is offered in 8th grade. So hopefully maybe some of them did that. Then they could actually do the landscape design management class. Then that would be their sophomore year. Then their junior year, they would take the principles of floral design and then advanced floral design, and they would actually be able to be like a certified they would be part of the Certified Floral Association, and they would actually kind of get their way to becoming a florist. That's kind of cool. The kids love floral design. So that is a real pathway that several really like. If you look up on the theater program, you see it talks about theater arts, the one right above it, right here, okay? Here, you see that you could take theater arts 1 or musical theater 1, theater arts or musical theater 2, okay? Then you have theater arts or musical theater 3. Also, you can be taking tech theater all the way through. And what that does is, believe it or not, it gets you an OSHA 30-hour general industry certification, which is something that in that field is a helpful thing to have. Now, if you keep scrolling down, you can see many more of these offerings. We have this one in architecture and design. If you take your ag mechanics and metal technology, which is like a beginning welding class, you take that your freshman year. Sophomore year, you can choose any ag class you want. And then at ATC, you could do that architectural design program and then do the next one your senior year. Looks like that one doesn't lead to a certification right now, but it sure leads you down a pathway. It's just very interesting to be able to feel like you're getting a sequence of
Trying to
classes.
figure out why a Sam's.com order that I placed yesterday that I scheduled for delivery at 8 a.m. was never delivered.
Yeah, that's a bummer, sir. I'm sorry about that. Sir, do you mind muting your mic?
Hold on a second.
Okay,
I'm
so then
busy.
if we keep going down, you can
I'm busy.
continue seeing
Okay, I'm
the
busy.
other arts and audio video
Order number is
technology, graphics, design, and illustration.
9823178200.
Let's see here. Let me see how to help this gentleman out.
Lisa, I think you have a button where you can mute people.
I
Lindsay.
think so. Okay, very good. All right, so let's go back. Okay, he got it. Thank you, sir. All right, so then if we go back and we come over here, if you just keep looking through it, the best thing to make this work is to just ask your student, hey, what are you thinking you want to do? And then you take your time and go through this little packet and see where your endorsement path will lead you. And if you at all possible, you want to try to start your freshman year. So what that means again is you would take your fine art, instead of taking your fine art your freshman year, you could insert that first endorsement class where that fine art class is, and they can take their first fine art their sophomore year. Okay. All right. So I know you guys have a copy of this one. All right, I'd like to take a second and maybe see if anybody has any questions. I see, great, they are answering questions in the chat box. Thank you, ladies. All right, now let's go back up and let me show you another form that I showed your students as well. This is our credit monitor form. This one right here, this is so helpful, everyone. This form helps you to see all the 26 credits that your students will need to graduate. Literally, they can put a check in each of these little spots as they complete the class. So let's go right here. If your student, 8th grade student, is taking Algebra 1, they've already completed the first semester, so they can put a check right there. And then they're completing the second semester right now, they can put a check right there. As they complete a credit, just put a check, put a check. That way, by the end of that school year, they can see what they've already gotten credit for, what they passed, and what they have next to do. This is just a very simple form that myself and Ms. Holloway use when we're working with your student and helping them to see how far they're progressing in their degree plan. Here we are. This is what we can do. We actually try to write in their grade. So like if a student made an 81 and a 90, we would write an 81 and a 90 right there. For algebra, maybe they have an 82 and an 88. For biology, 81 and an 86. Whatever their grade might be, you can keep track of it. It's like a little mini transcript that they are keeping track for themselves. Now, if you go down a little further, you see this weird one right here where it's LOTE. That stands for languages other than English. So that would be their foreign language credit. So they would write Spanish 1 right here and Spanish 2 right here, and then keep track of the grade or the fact that they've taken those 2 classes. Any class that is not part of all the other part, that's part of the requirement, is considered an elective. It's a class that your student is electing to take, something they're choosing to take. And you could just go ahead and write in those class names as they take them if you'd like. And then remember how we were talking about STAR tests? Well, here's a listing of the 5 STAR tests. Freshman year, they get these first 3, algebra, English, and biology. And then sophomore year, English 2, and then junior year, US history. That's that one for you. Okay. Some very interesting and really helpful, beneficial information is senior year, your student will get a chance to apply for financial aid for college or for life after high school. So we are required to help your student take the financial aid, like to learn how to file out the FAFSA, the federal application for student aid. We will help your student and help them to understand that process. And there's also like a police etiquette class that they have to take, a lesson that they typically get from our Chief Collins. And then we also have a CPR class that your student will get while they're in health with us. They'll get their health certification through that, their CPR. So that's another thing that all students in the state of Texas have to have. So we're sure to cover those for you. Okay, are you guys still with me? If you're with me and you can turn on your camera, give me a thumbs up. I see thumbs. Nice. Good work, you guys. This is a lot of information to tell you. You guys are sticking it out. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is great. Thank you, Jacqueline. All right, nice. All right. So guys, my email is lgriffin@aubreyisd.net. If you find that you have questions, if something's just not clicking, you don't get it, your student's not able to help you understand, or you in turn aren't able to help your student understand, please reach out and ask questions that you might have. That is what we're here for, okay? This is an exciting time, like Mr. Gore said, it really is cool. The fact that you get to pick your classes and give us a rundown of the next 4 years, it's pretty cool, pretty cool. Now there's 2 more things that I really want to tell you that I want you, this might help you to take a breath and just kind of settle it, is that what you're giving us, what you're writing on, this is a living and breathing document, okay? Let me go back and make sure you know what I'm talking about. This one right here, okay, folks? This right here. This is a living and breathing document. So what this means is you're going to tell me to the best of your ability what classes you think you're going to want to take, all right? But every single year while you're with us, you're going to be given a form similar to this that's going to actually have your class choices already typed on it. And you're going to be able to put a line through a class that you no longer want to take, and you can fill in with the class that you do want to take. So say you always thought you wanted to take, oh, let's say floral design. Say you've heard such wonderful information about floral design and you thought, I'm definitely going to take that. So you sign up for it. But then you hear how wonderful choir is and you're like, I want to do choir instead. Then what you would do is when we give you this form at the end of the school year, you would draw a line through floral design and you'd write in choir. So nothing is 100% set for the next year until you turn in your form after you've gotten a chance to correct it or to amend it. Now, I will tell you though, once you turn in your form and you've completed it and you've turned it into your teacher and we counselors take it, you don't have forever there to make changes. Typically you have until that May, okay? But I tell you, we're gonna have been working really hard. So if you see at the bottom of this form right now, it says that all scheduled requests, everything, if you were wanting to make a change, we ask that you tell us no later than May 2nd, because we're going to be working really hard to make sure we have a class for you, that we have a teacher for you, for all those choices that you've made already. Okay, So if you call us after this date and say, oh, no, I no longer want to do this. I'm sorry, folks, we had to have a deadline and we really need to keep to it. So we ask that you help us to keep to that. Ms. Holloway and myself are also registering students here at the high school. So we are quite busy right now, but we are both really good at emails. So if you do have a question, if it wasn't answered tonight, please do send an email and then we'll get right back to you and we'll give you the best answer that we can. Okay, because we want you to feel supported in this process. We don't want you to be overly scared. A little bit of anticipation is great, but listen, at the end of this, it's just going to be great. Your student will graduate from high school. Hopefully they will have a really good experience and learn lots of life events and go through some wonderful things. There will be some really scary things that'll happen too. When I say that, like, you know, making a low grade and not sure how to bring it up. Tutorials are a real thing, folks. We have tutorials before school and after school. And I've learned from a lot of parents, students that have never had to study before, they have to study in high school. So please let your student know this is real, okay? And that it's okay if they're having struggles or they're struggling. As long as they get help, then they should be okay. Sound good? Okay.
Lisa,
Yes, ma'am.
a couple of people had the same question, and I think it may be on a lot of people's minds. Could you talk a little bit about the difference between dual credit and AP for those that are looking at those options for their, once they get the AP available?
Absolutely, yes. Okay, folks, so dual credit classes are classes that are specifically coming from the local college. So we partner with NCTC, we partner with TWU, and I believe we even partner with UNT. But we partner with these other universities, and the class that your student takes is a real life, solid college course, and they are doing college work the whole way through. As long as they pass that class and make a 70, they are guaranteed college credit, okay? An AP class is definitely weighted the same as a college course. Both a dual credit class and an AP class are both on a 5.0 scale. They're both highly weighted. Neither one of them is weighted higher than the other. An AP class is taught at high school by a high school teacher, and it has a higher rigor, so it might be at a faster pace. But at the end of the course, your student has to pass what we call the advanced placement test. So if someone is taking AP English, okay, compared to dual credit English, as long as they're passing the whole way through and they get a 70 or higher, they get their college credit. If a kiddo is taking the AP English class, they're taught at a higher level, but they are not guaranteed college credit until they pass that AP test with a certain score. Okay, now the AP classes are cheaper. Your student would only have to pay $96, I believe, and that's for them to take the AP test at the end. There is no upfront charge to take an AP course, and it's taught by our high school teachers here at high school. Okay, does that help you with that? All right, I see a lot of questions or answers about band right now. Middle school does not need to have a signature for band. High school, we do ask that they get a signature from Mr. Noyes, but middle school, we will get a list from that teacher. Dual credit classes for us here are about $300, roughly $320, somewhere around that. Okay, because we are out of district for Gainesville, so we have to pay the out of district charge. So it's about $320. But think about it, that exact same course would be the same one that their brother's taken at maybe, you know, Texas Tech or UNT, wherever. That class would be upwards of $1,500, $1,600. They are only paying $300 for that class. Okay. Yes, each folks, yes. So if your student's taking an English class and a history class, each one is $320. Roughly $320, and then they would also maybe have to buy the textbook or the computer code. But again, they're getting college credit at that same time. All right, are there Yeah, you are right, Miss Warren. Candy, you are right. College prices have gone up so much. They really have. So this is still quite the deal. And I know, I don't believe, and Miss Holloway, if you can please chime in on this, are our students, when they apply for dual credit, I don't believe they're eligible for financial aid from high school when they're in dual credit in high school.
That's correct. They do have a dual credit scholarship that students can apply for through NCTC, but there is no financial aid for dual
Okay.
credit.
Thank you. Yes. I know I've heard that question come across before too. All right, folks, do you guys have any more questions from me at this time? Okay, then I'm going to send you off to make sure you guys are able to complete your course request card. Let me tell you, that pink card that your student has, that needs to be completed with your signature as well, and the signature from a teacher for an advanced class or from a coach. And those cards must be turned back in to either Coach Ocker or Miss McGuire by February 11th. February 11th. And we ask just with our whole hearts, if you can send it in before then, we would greatly appreciate that, because then we can start typing away and getting your student literally plugged into those classes. So we need the cards no later than February 11th. And here's where we have to be ugly. I don't want to ever be ugly or disrespectful by any means. But if your student, if you guys are not able to get that card turned in, then we will do our very best to give your student a schedule, to build them a schedule, but we cannot guarantee anything specific. Like if your student really wanted choir and they didn't turn in their card, then we're going to make sure they get a fine art, but it's going to be whatever fine art still has room. Okay, so that's how that would work. We just can't read minds, but we want to make sure everyone has the choice to get the classes that they desire and that they need. So folks, if you do us that favor and you get those cards turned in to either Miss McGuire or Coach Ocker, we will do our end to do our very best to make sure they get their classes. And just a reminder, the only thing we need back is that pink card, that pink card. Okay, I'm going to check down in the chat box. Okay, I don't see any more questions, but if you do come across a question, my email is lgriffin@aubreyisd.net, and I will get back to you just as soon as I can.
Lisa,
Yes, ma'am.
at the beginning of the meeting, someone had asked about the availability of the presentation. And I said that, yes, it would be available, but I thought you might be able to tell them more about where you might post that or how you're going to make it available. So if they want to go back and review.
You bet. We are going to put it on the middle school website. And then I was going to ask to also put it on our high school website. You will see the topic, upcoming freshman information. And we will have this exact Zoom will be posted there. And then the presentation, I'll have my PowerPoint put on there as well. How about that? That way, so you could go to the middle school website, or you could go to the high school website, and we will try to include it on both of those. Since today is Monday, I would say we'll try to get it up by Wednesday. All right, any other questions, folks? All right, well, guys, I really appreciate you being here and taking time out of your busy schedule. Listen, I understand. I appreciate you so much being here, gathering this information for your students so you can give them the best possible chance to get the classes that they need. So thank you all so very much. Have a blessed evening. Have a great week. And February 11th, get me those cards. And I really do thank you for listening. Thank you for being with us. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay.